Hello, welcome to this tutorial where we shall be looking at the lookup function and the pivot table. The lookup function is also used in filtering data. You can either have horizontal lookup or vertical lookup. For our case, we shall look at the vertical lookup, meaning looking up values from the column. Then we shall also have the pivot table that can help us further analyze data using basic statistical functions such as sum, mean, and the rest. So we are given this simple information, but for these tools you'll be using big data out there. So we're just using this for demonstration purposes. So when you look at our guide and you look at the first part of it, which is Roman numeral 1, we're supposed to capture this information in the worksheet and rename the entire table as employees. So let's do that. So I have information type right here. So you'll select the entire range just like I've done. Then come to this section where you have the cell address, highlight, backspace, then type employees. Now after typing, you press the enter key. By so doing, you will have renamed the entire range. So if we highlight this same range again, you'll be able to see it renamed as employees. Now this helps us when you're looking up values. Instead of coming back to this particular worksheet, we shall simply be looking up those values using that particular new address we have given as employees. So that is part 1. So when you look at this part 2, use the drop down menu and the lookup function to refer values from worksheet 1 to 2. So how do we do that? So what we shall do first is to copy this column heading plus the title. Then you click on this particular tab to go to the new worksheet, then we shall paste. So you can adjust the column width to fit. So we are interested in this column. We want to use the drop down list to be able to pick those values such that someone does not enter values that don't exist in our worksheet. So you highlight any range of your choice. We want to activate drop down in these cells. Then after highlighting, you'll go to the menu option data. Then in the section where we have data validation, you'll click on the drop down. Then you click on data validation. So when you click on data validation, you'll have different options. Right here we have settings, we have input message, just in case you want any message to display when people are operating your records, you can put it here. Or in case someone types something which doesn't match what you have on the list, this error message should pop up. So for now, we shall not look at this part. We shall mainly go to our settings and look for lists. As you can see, you can have very many other settings here. You can set it to only accept decimal values with decimals, whole numbers, list, date, time, etc. with the length. So our interest is on the list, so you click on list. Then the source, where is the list coming from? So you click on this tab. After clicking on the tab, you go to the first worksheet which has our data set. Click on it. Then you highlight the names. Then press the enter key. Then you'll hit the OK button. So now we have that in place. The list is right here. So we have successfully done that. So we look at the next tasks. So the next task is to we're supposed to use the drop down menu and the lookup function to refer values from the worksheet. So far we have got the drop down Now we need to look up values from the worksheet that we created, meaning we are looking up values from here. So how do we do that? Corresponding to the column where we have found, put the equal sign, then you type VLOOK, meaning horizontal lookup. So before we put the bracket, you can read the statement to clarify what it does. So when you look at the syntax for vertical lookup, we have the lookup value, or what you want to base on to pick our firm name from the other side. So the lookup value is our employee name. Then you put a comma as indicated in the syntax. Then you are prompted to put the table array. The table array is a series of values, and remember we renamed our table to employees. So instead of going back to select the entire table, we shall simply type employees, because this is the entire range of the table that we have. So click on that. Then the column index from our table, in which column do we have firm name? So just looking at this column heading, we have column 1, column 2, column 3. So you notice that we have the firm in column 2. So you'll type 2 there. Then how do you want to return the value? Approximate match or exact match? So we want the exact match, which is false. So you click on that, then you close the bracket, press the enter key. So it will return not applicable simply because you have not selected the firm name here. So you click on, for example, rather you have not selected the employee name. You can select, for example, Mary, then automatically the firm name will show up. So we shall do the same thing for basic salary. You'll put the equal sign, then say vertical lookup. Still our reference or lookup cell is the same. Then the array is also the same, which is employees. Then from that point, the column index this time is 3, starting the count from here 1, 2, 3. So you put there 3. Then we want the exact match. So you press the enter key. So you can now copy this down and do the same here. So it will return not applicable simply because you have not selected any names here. Okay. But again, just in case you don't want to see these error messages, what you can do, you can add another function. Okay. So this is optional. This is just additional information to you. But the major thing you need to know is this function. So in case you don't want to see this error, you use another function that if an error occurs, when I'm looking up the values, what should happen? I should return a 0. Meaning that instead of returning this particular error message not applicable, the system should give us 0. So we press the enter key, then we copy the formula down. So as you can see now, where we have not selected the employee name, it will return a 0. So we can do the same for basic salary and say that if an error occurs when you're looking up these values, then we should return a 0. So you can also copy this formula down. So this is how the lookup function works. For vertical lookup, you put a V. For horizontal, you put H, meaning you're looking up values from the row. So that is how we do lookup function in Excel. So let's look at the next tasks. We have to copy the table in 1 above and paste in worksheet 3, then you convert it into a table data. So we shall go to the worksheet, then we copy the table as instructed, take it to worksheet 3, then we paste. Okay. So after pasting this table, we keep it highlighted, or if you are deselected yours, you can highlight again. Okay, then you go to insert, then you click on table. It will automatically highlight that range, then you click OK. So as you can see now, it is something different from what we previously had on this other worksheet. So this can as well help you when you're filtering data. For example, when you look at the column farm, which has common values for all the records, we can click on the drop down and check all. Then for example, we only pick Chambogo, for example, then you click OK. It will be able to filter those records for you. So let's return all of them for now, because we shall need the same records to generate our pivot table. So we click OK, and we have everything right here. So let's look at the next task that we're supposed to perform. We are supposed to use the above table data to generate the pivot table. This is done to aid data analysis. So let's highlight our table. Okay, after highlighting, you go to the insert menu, then you click on pivot table. So you leave everything as default, then you click the OK button. So when you look at this interface right here, we have our pivot table view right here, then pivot table fields right here on the right. So what is important is for you to use this quadrangle here to display your values on this. For example, I'll say my basic salaries will be dropped in this particular quadrangle which has values, and you'll have everything summarized there. Then I'll say okay, I want to also display the farm names in the row. You put it right there. It will give you summaries in just seconds, as you can see. Then in case you want to also display more information, for example about the employees, you can drag and drop here, so you can see the subtotals generated for you as quick as possible. So we can then go to the analysis menu right here. Then you can also insert the pivot chart. Okay, so let's take the default option, which is the column chart, then we hit the OK button. So now in case you want to perform some presentation, for example, we have all this data, all this information displayed here, and you want to present each case one at a time. So we can apply slicers to help us navigate this. So we can go to the insert menu, then we have slicer here, which is also a filter. So when you click on the slicer, it will prompt you, what do you want to use? I want to use the farm because it has common values for most of the records. So you'll click OK, then the slicer will be displayed right here. So you can now navigate. When you click on NEMA, it will display UNICEF, it will display. So this is the pivot table. So you can always manipulate this information as much as you want. So you notice that when you click aside, this display disappears. So in case you want it to appear, you have to click within your pivot table here for it to be able to appear. So thanks for watching. Stay following for the next video.